Mr. Kepler, thank you again for your willingness to be here and address our board.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. My name is Glenn Kepler, and I live in Chesapeake, Virginia, and our business, Crossroads Fuel Service, is headquartered in Chesapeake, Virginia. We have 4 branch offices in North Carolina. We have one in Terrell County, Washington County, Clemens County, and one in Gate County. Let me say, first of all, that Crossroads Fuel, by the way, I wrote all this down. I'm going to do my best to read it line for line. I'll no doubt lose my place from time to time. Crossroads Fuel does not now, nor have we ever, retailed any gasoline in Dare County. It's probably been 30 years since we retailed gasoline anywhere. We are strictly a wholesaler, and as such, we do not suggest, encourage, discourage, complain, or compliment, or influence in any way retail pricing to any of our customers in Dare County or any other county. Having said that, Crossroads has been in the gasoline business since 1960, and I have been employed since 1972. I'm currently the president. Being around it that long, I couldn't help but pick up a few things, even if by accident. So I do know something about retail pricing, even though we don't do any of that. So again, thank you all for asking me to be here. It's certainly an honor. And also, I want to commend you because when you want to know something, you ask somebody who's in the business and find out. So I commend you for that, and I appreciate that. I listed 10 things that I want to talk about. They're not in any particular order of importance, so don't think that number 1 is more important than number 10. They're just in the order that I thought of them. Insurance cost. One of my customers in Dare County showed me his property insurance bill, and his was for wind only. For last year, he is paying nearly 30% more for one property with 1 canopy and 2 buildings than we are paying for a combined 11 properties, 5 canopies, 13 buildings, and an assortment of above-ground storage tanks. Ours is property insurance that includes wind, fire, vandalism, even a little bit of pollution if it's caused by storm. Now, all of these properties, of course, can't be compared exact in value, but 3 of mine are convenience stores. They do have canopies. One's in Terrell County, one's in Clemens County, one's in Pasquotank County. They're about the same size. And if you take my insurance, the way my insurance is, I couldn't pick out each one and say, how much did I pay for that one? But if I divide my premium by 11 and then figure he's paying almost 93% more for one property than we pay for one property. That's a substantial difference. And that, by the way, does not include flood insurance, which we don't carry everywhere, and I'm sure he does. Number 2 I have is pump and point-of-sale repairs. That would be computers, etc., for the gas credit card acceptance and all. It's conservative to say that a dealer in Dare County can expect to average at least 1 service call a month, and probably more like 1.5 to 2 a month, for various pump and point-of-sale related repairs. And a lot of those are caused by weather, storms, salt, you know the weather. That compares in Elizabeth City, where we may have 4 to 6 in a year. But the big difference comes, the trip charge for repair to Avon is $459. That's the trip charge for repair. That compares to what we pay in Elizabeth City of about $75 per trip. So not only do you have more calls in Dare County, they're substantially more expensive. The third thing I wrote down was equipment replacement costs. And just like the elements cause more service calls in Dare County, likewise, they shorten the life of the equipment considerably when you compare it to the inland counties. So how many cents a gallon do you need to get when you know the practical lifespan of your equipment is 40, 50% less than that of your counterparts in the inland counties? And that lifespan, by the way, only counts if the wind doesn't come blow it away before it's worn out. Number 4 I wrote down is property values, and I'm not a real estate expert by any means. So really all I have to compare here is that we own 3 convenience stores. I know what they're valued at by the county. I know what they've been valued at by the banks.
You didn't retail gas.
And I know that there's one for sale out here on the causeway that, in my opinion anyway, is not as good as the 3 that we have. Ours are roughly 45% lower in value than what they're asking for that one. That doesn't mean they'll get that. So 35, 45%. So my question would be, how do real estate values in Dare County versus Elizabeth City, Pasquotank County, etc.? You know, what is the difference in the rent or the mortgage payment? Is it $2,000 a month? Is it $4,000 a month? What is it? Whatever it is, it's more, and it's going to affect the price of your gasoline. Freight, number 5, freight for the gasoline as we haul it down here. Just like it costs more for the service and the repair guys to come to Dare County, so does it cost more for the gas trucks to come to Dare County. Depending on where you are in the north end, south end, or whatever, that could range anywhere from 2 to 5 cents a gallon. By the way, I don't know if y'all remember, this is a side note, that we were the ones that had the truck stuck in Rodanthe, Hurricane Dennis, so that's my claim to fame.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank you for being there.
And that was my fault. I was sitting down there kind of knowing I should have. But anyway, that's a side note. Number 6, credit card fees. Now, the percentage a retailer in Dare County pays to the credit card company for accepting credit cards is exactly the same as it is in Chesapeake or Pasquotank or anywhere else. So on the surface, in fact, I almost didn't write that down because I thought it was the same thing. But actually, it's not quite, because being as that in the peak season, this is the touristy area, your credit card sales are substantially higher in Dare County than they are in Pasquotank County, meaning the effect on the bottom line is greater from the credit card fees. Now, in the off season, it has another effect on it, because if you take credit cards, you have to be signed up with the Ruby Help Desk, et cetera, et cetera. And so you got fees to pay every month, fixed fees that are there every month, winter, summer. And so in the summertime, if you're doing 100,000 gallons a month, you can spread that fee over that 100,000 gallons. In the winter, you're only doing 20. So now that fee costs you 5 times what it did per gallon during the summer season.
Are you comparing that to y'all having more cash sales over here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
More cash sales?
Yeah, in the inland counties in Chesapeake, we would have more cash sales. That's right. Number 7 I wrote down was labor costs. You all know a lot more about this than I do. We don't retail anything anywhere, so this may or may not apply. But my question is this: since this is the seasonal area, and when I was a teenager, I know that McDonald's and different people would rent houses down here, and they'd house people for the summer. I don't know if you still do that or not. But since this is a seasonal area, is labor more expensive during the peak season when every other business on the Outer Banks is competing for that same labor? That's a question. Like I say, you guys y'all know the answer better than I do. Number 8, weather. I've already talked about the elements and the effect that they have on the equipment. But what about the storms that shut business down for a few days, maybe a week, maybe more than that? How long does it take to recover and get back to normal after an evacuation? Does business go back to normal the very day that they reopen? Does it take a week, a month? Does it even impact the next year sometimes?
Crap's all he's doing.
What impact does even just the threat of that have on how you operate your business? I've noticed, and you probably have too, that every time there's a storm in the ocean, they want to tie that thing to Cape Hatteras. Well, it's 1,000 miles off of Cape Hatteras, 700. So if I'm sitting in New York or Raleigh or wherever, and I'm wondering where am I going to go this weekend, and I've seen on the Weather Channel that I don't know which way that storm's going, but it's 500 miles. What effect does that have on your business? Anybody's business, for that matter. So how do you figure that in? And another question I would have past Pasquotank County, Elizabeth City, have they ever experienced a mandatory evacuation? And what are the odds that they ever will? So they can run their businesses a little bit different than what you get in Dare County, particularly the Outer Banks. Number 9. Comparison. The letter that I received stated that on the trip to Elizabeth City on September the 3rd, prices ranged from $2.09 to $2.23 in Elizabeth City, while in Dare County they were within a penny or so of $2.47. That's a fair question to ask, why that happens. I've given you some reasons why I think Dare County needs to get more for their gas than people in Pasquotank County, but there's one more question that we need to ask. Not necessarily, it's not your job to ask, but why is gas so cheap in Elizabeth City? And I mean, you heard me right. Why is it so cheap? The very day in question, if you looked at the average rack price in Chesapeake, that's where all the gas comes from for Dare County and for Elizabeth City. The rack price in Chesapeake this is average, was $202.28. That didn't count transportation, didn't count any profit for anybody. The day before that was $203.28, and the day before that was $209.98. That means if that fellow bought his gas 2 days before, he was losing money before he even started. If he bought it that very day, and I used my credit card, and that cost him 2.5%, he was losing money that very day. That's not an unusual thing in Elizabeth City. They very often sell at or below cost. Reasons I've heard for that range from I needed the cash flow to I made a commitment to my supplier to sell X number of gallons, and There's an underlift penalty if I don't do that. The only way to move it is to mark it down and get rid of it. The one I like the best is, I'm tired of my competition beating me up on price, and this week I'm going to be the low man no matter what it costs me. I've heard that many times.
Well, then why don't we do it here?
And the 10th thing I want to talk about has really nothing to do with price, but more to do with some of the people that are involved. The truth is, it's not the retailers or the suppliers taking advantage of anyone that's causing these price differences. The truth is that because of the distance for necessary services and supplies, and especially because of the elements which are beyond anyone's control, it simply costs more to do business in Dare County than it does in the inland counties. Crossroads currently deals with, we have 4 dealers or retailers in Dare County, as well as a few others that we do common carrier work for. One of these retailers we've been dealing with for 33 years, one for almost 30 years, one for 15, and one for about 5. The one for 33 years, I saw Sanford White's picture on the wall back here. Their family and our family actually span 3 generations, and I'm proud of that. And they are good people. The Whites and the other dealers that we deal with, they are really, really good people. They care about what goes on in Dare County. They're not out to get anybody. They're just out to make an honest living. And I've lost my place like I knew I would. But anyway, that's really all I have. I'm proud to be associated with those guys, and I certainly hope that something I said here this evening will help you out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Commissioners will
County Manager?
They don't ask the question.
Mr. Chairman, that would bring us to item 5 on the